Is my first tutorial on using Flash. It is just going to be on the basics of Flash and just looking at the following items. So first of all, we're going to look at the Flash interface design. So the interface is the workspace layout here. We've got things like the toolbar, the timeline. We're going to look up how to set it up in a classic style menu and what sort of settings you should be starting your project with. Then we're going to look a little bit more in depth about what sort of tools we've got in here. So our toolbox down the side, and of course the timeline where all our animation happens just in this section here. So first thing I'm going to do is let's work out how to open up a new document. So obviously I've got some document open here, but when I start up Flash, what I want to do is, I'm just going to start with a new document. Okay, it'll ask you if it wants to be an ActionScript 2 or ActionScript 3. I want to start with an ActionScript 2 document. It's going to come with these default settings, 55 by 400 or 550 by 400 and 24 frames a second with a background color of white, which is this background here. So to start a new document, I just want to keep it at ActionScript 2 for now, and we'll just hit OK. And to get the same workspace layout as me, this is the classic style menu. I think yours will probably start off in Essentials or another type of layout where your timeline is down the bottom and toolbox is down the side here. I want to make sure that I've got the classic menu selected. There we go. The reason why I have it is just this is what I'm used to, but you do what you're comfortable with. Next thing I want to look at is, and I'll just flick back here. Okay, so that's the workspace setup, is just the use of the toolbox. So toolbox is down the side here. We've got here the selection tool or shortcut V, and a couple of different options here. I've got a pen tool, text tool, line, oval. If you hold down your mouse, you can also come up with these drop down menus. So every time there's a little triangle down the side, and you can change it from rectangle to oval to whatever you like. I've got a pencil, paintbrush, bone tool, which we'll look at another time, paint bucket, eyedropper, eraser, panning tool, zoom in, zoom out, and then our color palette here. So one is for the stroke, which goes around the object, and one is for the fill, which is inside the object. And then we've got a couple of options here for snapping, and also to make it an object drawing, which we're going to leave off at the moment. So the first thing that we're going to do in our tutorial is look at frames. So without any frames, we cannot have any information. And so frames are stored in the timeline up the top here. And so I've just got a blank keyframe up the top here. I can tell it's a keyframe where the action happens because it's got a circle in it. If I create a frame next to it, just a normal frame, which is F5, FN F5 if you're on a MacBook, FN F5 again, let's create a couple frames. They don't have a circle inside, so it means that they're just a frame. So whatever drawings are in this first one, they're going to be repeated over these frames here. Now if you want to add another blank keyframe, the shortcut is FN F7. And then as you can see, if I put in some blank keyframes, okay, different action is going to happen on each of these frames here. So whatever drawing is in them, is going to repeat. It's going to actually be different past here. So let's get rid of those frames. Let's just select those. Okay, I'm going to right click and just remove frames. So we've got no frames at the moment. So let's put in start off with a keyframe. It's FN F6. Okay, just create a blank keyframe because there's nothing on the canvas. And we'll create a ball. So let's select the ellipse tool, okay, the oval tool, and just hold down shift to constrain proportions. If you don't hold down shift, it squashes and stretches. So we'll just do that. Okay. Now on Flash, your objects are a bit like clay. So I can move my cursor, the selection tool here, and you can see that little circle next to the icon. I can actually squash and stretch and poke around. It's kind of like digital clay. And I can change the fill color over here. So I can change it to purple if I want, whatever I like. And I can add a stroke. So if I want to add a green stroke on the outside, I can do that. And I just need to paint a stroke on the outside because there's not one at the moment. So let's just go to the paint bucket tool and change it to the ink bottle tool, and then I can have a stroke around the outside, and now that's turned green. If I click outside the canvas here, you can see that the object has been deselected. Now the stroke and the fill are also, you can break apart from each other as well, and you can also, with the selection tool, like delete parts of it. So that's why I liken it to digital clay. So let's get rid of those. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just start off with looking at a ball bounce in frame by frame animation. So we're going to look at the first animation principle, which is squash and stretch. We're just going to have a ball come down from the corner here, bounce, and then bounce back into this corner. So let's head over here and create our first ball. And I'm just going to start off with black as my color. And I'm going to use the paintbrush tool here. So make sure it's set on brush tool and make sure I've got a frame selected. So first frame, I'm going to start maybe just outside the canvas here. It's going to draw just a ball. Then I'm going to create a new blank keyframe. So FN F7. And then create another ball here. So it's coming in for a bounce. So if I flick those between those two, you can see the ball coming in. Now if I want to see the drawing that I did before, there's something called onion skinning that I can switch, and it's this little button here. It's called the onion skin, and it shows with these brackets at the top here, you can either show it into the future or into the past with the frames and the playheads. So I've got those. So let's create another keyframe, another blank keyframe. So FN F7, and this time I'm going to put another frame here. And I'm just going to squash my ball a little bit so it looks like it's sort of zooming for the ground. There we go. I can just swap between those. Again, FN F7. Okay, this is going to be the contact point. So this is where it hits the ground. So I'm going to hit it right here, and it's going to be like a pancake if you think about a tennis ball being hit on the racket very fast. Okay. And then it's just going to bounce off the ground. So again, FN F7. Another frame. And it's just going to squash and stretch back into a normal ball size. So pop that there. And obviously if you've got a drawing tablet, your drawings will be a lot neater than mine. So let's turn the onion skinning off. Okay, there we go. So we've got a nice ball bounce. Oops, and we've got two on the same frame, but that's okay. We can just select this one here. I can edit and cut that one out. We can add another frame in, so FN F7. And then I'm going to edit and paste in place. This means that it will paste exactly the same spot as you had it in the previous frame. If you just added paste in center, just a normal Command V or Control V, it will paste just in the center of the screen. So let's go paste in place. There we go. And then we've got our lovely ball bounce. So that is frame by frame animation and the principle of squash and stretch, and that's my first ball bounce. Okay, now for the next tutorial, let's prepare our scenes. So this is scene 1. We're going to add some more scenes so that each animation is going to appear in a separate scene. So let's create some scenes. So we'll go to Insert up the top, Insert Scene. Okay, and then we can see in this canvas layer here, just above this is called the stage, Scene 2. Scroll along over here and we've got our selection of scenes. So we can go back to Scene 1 where we did our original frame by frame, or we can scroll down to Scene 2, which we will start for the second tutorial. Okay, so that is the end of my tutorial. So we've covered everything there. Thank you for listening.